Okay, think about your car for a second. Now, picture a massive 747. One gets you to the grocery store, the other gets you across an entire ocean. You might think the biggest difference is, size or speed, but you'd be wrong. It's actually the invisible philosophy that builds them. We're about to dive deep into the fascinating clash of cultures between the automotive and aerospace industries.
I mean, just look at this. On one hand, you've got this insane river of steel, cars just pouring off an assembly line. And then, on the other hand, you have this almost surgical, super detailed, painstaking creation of just one jet engine. It's the perfect visual for the deep philosophical divide we're going to explore today.
So you get it. These two industries are giants. But here's the thing. Their entire DNA, everything they do, it all comes down to one single epic battle. A conflict that shapes every single choice they make, from a tiny bolt to a billion-dollar factory. It is the ultimate showdown. Speed versus safety. And you know what? A Reddit user, getting lucky, who's apparently worked in both worlds, just absolutely nailed it with this quote. For car makers, it's all about pushing that product out the door as fast as humanly possible. For aerospace, it's about hitting the brakes on everything for more testing. Because, let's be real, you can't just pull over to the side of the road at 30,000 feet, right?
Okay, so we've got the core conflict locked in. Now we're going to see how that one difference, speed versus safety, causes this massive ripple effect that changes absolutely everything about how they operate. Let's break down how these two worlds really collide. All right, first up, volume. The difference here is just mind-boggling. You've got car factories that are this whirlwind of motion, just cranking out thousands of vehicles. And then you have aerospace, where building one single plane is a marathon. It can literally take years. We're talking about two completely different universes of scale. And that massive difference in scale, well, it naturally leads to completely different goals. For car companies, it's all about keeping costs down and getting the latest model out before the competition. They live and die by what's hot right now. Aerospace, they have one goal. One. And that is absolute 100% unwavering reliability. Cost is a factor, for sure, but it will never, ever trump safety. Okay, so what about the stuff they're actually made of? Your car? It's probably made of steel, some aluminum, materials that are great because they hit that sweet spot between cost and performance for mass production. But airplanes? Man, they are built with materials that sound like they're straight out of science fiction. We're talking titanium alloys, crazy expensive carbon fiber composites, things that can handle the unbelievable forces of flight. So how does innovation even happen in these two different worlds? The automotive industry is kind of like fashion. It's this constant whirlwind of new models, new designs, all driven by what consumers want next. Aerospace innovation, though, is more like a glacier. It's incredibly slow, but super powerful and deliberate. A single new part might go through years of insane testing. We're talking stress tests, extreme temperatures, countless simulations, all before it even gets close to a real aircraft. And this right here? This might be the most telling difference of all when it comes to safety. So both industries have their big safety rulebooks, right? ISO 26262 for cars, DO 178C for planes. But here's the kicker, the real gut punch. For a plane to even get off the ground, an external authority has to sign off on it. It's mandatory. For a car, that final check is, believe it or not, optional. Yeah, that one fact tells you pretty much everything you need to know about how they think about risk. So for the longest time, these two worlds just kind of existed on parallel tracks, never really crossing over. But guess what? That's all changing. Right now, the lines are getting super blurry because both of them are now in a dead sprint to solve the exact same futuristic problems. So where is this collision happening? What are these new battlegrounds? Well, for one, electric propulsion. We're seeing it in cars, and now we're seeing it in planes. Then there's autonomous operation. Yep, self-driving cars and self-flying drones. And of course, additive manufacturing, 3D printing parts that were just impossible to make before, and pushing the limits of advanced materials. And what's the ultimate, almost sci-fi symbol of all this coming together? It's the flying car. Or, the slightly less cool industry term, urban air mobility. This is really the final exam. Can the super fast, agile automotive world learn to adopt that crazy meticulous, safety-obsessed mindset from aerospace to make this a reality? So we've looked at these two absolute titans of transport, right? Each one shaped by a totally different way of thinking. One philosophy is all about building for the masses. The other is all about building for the mission.
So as these two worlds start to crash into each other, what in the world does that mean for the future of how we get from point A to point B? Which brings us to the final really big question for the future of how we move. Is our future going to be built using the automotive model? Fast, efficient, and for everyone? Mass production wins? Or will that aerospace philosophy, the mission-critical, safety above all else approach, be the one that takes over? And listen, the answer to that isn't just about what our next car or plane looks like. It's going to define the entire future of transportation itself.